He follows the wind. As you can see, he is now converted by the forward-looking policies of the current administration. The strong, focused wind generated in the wake of President Nana Akufo-Addo's credible delivery. Nana's policies aimed at building a functional, enabling state that provides social inclusion, human resource development, and steady economic growth in an atmosphere of international stability. So, as we speak, all the policies that John Mahama rejected as impossible when he was in power, the lack of social policy and economic intervention, he believes the very lack of logic in his desire to take Ghana back into his half-baked experiments will escape the notice of Ghanaians, because he sincerely believes we have short memories of his gargantuan gaffes. He wants the Ghanaian voter to take the ship of state away from the committed, competent, and compassionate delivery of President Adodankwa Akufo-Addo and entrust our future fortunes to his indecisiveness whilst he attempts to learn how to do what Nana is already doing. Visionary leadership serves as the anchor for the uncertainties and the volatility of life. Ever since candidate Mahama has been in politics, he has not once articulated a vision for the transformation of anything. Indeed, it is precisely because of his lack of vision that he follows the wind. He follows the gravy train. Wherever he perceives that there is an opportunity to harvest votes, there he goes. What does he stand for? It is important he tells the Ghanaian voter exactly where he stands. We cannot have a president, one who merely obeys the wind. We need a leader who can sail the ship of state safely to shore. Flip-flopping, wishy-washy, indecisive leadership will only wreck the ship of state. Ladies and gentlemen, President Mahama hated free SHS with a passion. His government paid alternative of e-blocks. Today, he says he should be voted into office to maintain free SHS. Well, Mr. Mahama, for your information, we are not looking for a maintenance officer. We are looking for a president, a leader. He said that he would rather lose his presidency than restore trainee allowances. Today, he says he wants your vote to pay higher trainee allowances. He agitated against a new voter register, allegedly funding demonstrations and supporting threats of violence. Then he mounted giant billboards asking people to, in quotes, rise up and register. He instructed his party to ditch empowerment of district assemblies through the referendum. Today, he says he will pay assemblymen against the dictates of the Constitution. He cut the sword and contributed our scarce resources towards the fabled $10 billion Hope City. Today, he talks about infrastructure, conveniently forgetting the outrageous 8-bedroom, $14 million official residence of the Vice President of the Republic that he supervised to come into being. Not yet completed. $14 million for an 8-bedroom residence. In 2015, we haven't forgotten. He thinks we have short memories. He said that it would be foolish, and I'm quoting him, it would be foolish not to collateralize our oil for credit. Today, he says he's against collateralization of our long-suffering mineral resources. Significantly, he is also threatening to return bauxite concessions to his brother, saying, in quotes, I shall return seized mining concessions to their owners. The bottom line is that candidate Mahama does not stand for anything. You cannot continue to follow the wind. It is precisely for this reason that the saga of the missing NDC manifesto is important. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, months before COVID-19 had changed the world, John Mahama's NDC set out on a perilous journey of trying to find out what Ghanaians want. After 16 years of NDC, in the 28-year-old Fourth Republic, 6 of those years as government official one, the final decision maker in Ghana, he is still struggling to find out what Ghana's governance priorities are. On July 1st, 2020, the whole world was told that candidate Mahama had received the People's Manifesto. He said he would launch it in August. Nobody forced him to say August. He said it himself. When the MPP announced August 22nd, 2020 as his date for launching their manifesto, our manifesto, the whole world was told that theirs would follow on the 29th August 2020. Then came the bomb. Leadership of service, protecting our progress, transforming Ghana for all. The manifesto hit them so hard. Leadership of service, protecting our progress, transforming Ghana for all. This hit them so hard, they hurriedly postponed the 29th to the 1st August 2020. As we speak, we are not sure whether it will happen on 7th September 2020, as nobody seems ready to make an official promise. The MPP was sure then, and we are still sure, that they are not going to be able to launch it sooner than later. We knew they had to listen to the commentaries, the criticisms, and suggestions that have greeted our manifesto in order to try and rewrite theirs, ostensibly to pander to the public debates about our manifesto. Candidate Mahama has no vision. He just follows the wind. Now we, in that manifesto, have clear and forward-looking policies that we want all of you to engage. In transportation, infrastructure to support multimodal movement is being invested in, alongside modernization of the commercial transportation market. Manufacture of vehicles is being localized to create jobs, and to 180 of the manifesto will create affordable access to new commercial vehicles, reduce accidents, increase jobs and incomes, and create real employment opportunity. Mahama's transport policy, and hopefully it will reflect in the People's Manifesto that all of Ghana told him to do that, since he went out looking for the information. His policy is to legalize Okada, years after he banned it himself in LI 2180, without the benefit of scrutiny and analysis of the entire transportation sector. A major part of the intended National Equipment Leasing Policy, NELP, also found on page 176 of the manifesto, will promote private sector participation in transport services to government, further opening the space for jobs. The private sector is going to provide all the government's transportation needs. They will be helped to acquire the vehicles, and they will lease it to government and pay back the banks, so that government will shed the burden of buying new cars every year. In health, our aim is universal health coverage. How we get there is set out on page 156 and 157 of the manifesto. The revolution includes equipment leasing under the NELP and a build, lease, operate, and transfer policy, which will integrate the large private health services on offer into a unique system of public infrastructure in partnership with private resources and expertise. Already, we have delivered the drone service, ambulances, and Agenda 111 is on course. Your mama says you provide free primary health care. How he intends to do that from a background that resists the passage of the NHIS law, failed to deliver on the major flagship promise of a one-time premium, imported empty cargo vans into the country in the name of ambulances, and left the NHIS and the mountain of debt is left to our common conjecture. In any event, health care on the NHIS is already free to children and the elderly. The MPP government, led by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, intends to reduce the cost of energy to accelerate industrialization. When we accelerate industrialization, again we create jobs and increased incomes. Already, we have brought down the cost of a kilowatt hour from a high of 19 cents to the current average of 11 cents, with strong indications of going further down to 6 cents. In the process, not only have we managed to keep the lights on, we are also giving out free power in the COVID-19 alleviation space. Unprecedented economic management. Our energy ambitions are clearly set out on page 174 of the manifesto, where we expect that over time, increased usage because of the lowering cost will absorb the excess capacity cost, enable competitive exports, and drive the unfolding integrated bauxite and iron and steel industries. Again, more jobs and incomes. Indeed, I will encourage you all to delve deeper into part 5 of the manifesto, starting from page 169 to 183. There, you will find chapter 6, titled Building the Private Sector for Accelerated Growth, where, for once, concrete measures have been set out to truly transform the private sector as the engine of growth. Ladies and gentlemen, part 5 of the manifesto starts with chapter 5, titled Digitization and the Transformation of the Ghanaian Economy. The interlocking digital infrastructure being rolled out is modernizing the economy at an extremely fast pace, especially the celebrated mobile money payments interoperability system, which has literally made 15 million bank accounts on the go, giving individuals the comfort of moving money around between banks and mobile money wallets from their telephones as they wish. John Mahama planned to attempt it for $1.2 billion. He committed to spend $1.2 billion on mobile interoperability. President Nana Addo has had it delivered for $4.5 million. A mind-boggling 22,666 percentage differential, if my math serves me right. 22,666 differential in the cost of interoperability. $1.2 billion as against $4.5 million delivered. We have also reduced CST, popularly called talk tax, and we are moving towards reducing the cost of data whilst installing Wi-Fi across the country to boost education and commerce. Pages 17 to 21 of the manifesto sets out what digitization is doing to improve government business. Now, ladies and gentlemen, effective economic management depends on effective management of COVID-19 in this current era. So the heartbeat of our manifesto is part 3. And the sole chapter 3 that is in part 3 sets out the CARES program. This is the COVID alleviation and revitalization of enterprises program. The Ghana CARES program for short. Having seen our manifesto, we are told the NDC is desperately trying to come to grips with our chapter 3. How will the NDC leadership offer a solution to COVID without a vision? We cannot afford to go back to the days of experimentation. The choice before the Ghanaian people is simple. We have decision and indecision. We have vision and a lack of vision. We have transparently leveraging our national endowments in the international economic financial space for accelerated development or having it handed out to a brother. We invite governance partners, especially thought leaders and civil society influencers, to objectively debate the potential outputs and outcomes of novel initiatives. We welcome input that improves our capacity and ability to turn Ghana into the go-to hub that it can become. This thoughtful and decisive president that we have listens. He is sensitive to the needs of the Ghanaian people, providing education to an extra 100,000 Ghanaian children a year since he's been in charge. Children your mama believes should be on the streets. This thoughtful, decisive president takes risks for the future of your child, running a double-track system in the short term whilst preparing for the longer term with securitization of the GET fund for massive educational infrastructure. In contrast, your mama tells us you abolish the double-track system by completing E-blocks. How does the completion of E-blocks abolish double-track? The E-blocks are not in the double-track schools. They are in the bush. So tell us the correlation between completing E-blocks and the double-track schools. In any event, many schools are already going off the double-track system, thanks to the massive infrastructure developments that are taking place across all the double-track schools. Indeed, my friend Mustafa Abdul Hamid tells me his former school, Boku SHS, has just received the all clear to go off double-track anytime from when academic work resumes. So there is already a clear and systematic agenda to phase out the double-track system. Candidate Mahama, as usual, is late to the argument and he's just following the wind. We are transforming agriculture, exporting 19 different products where you had us importing plantain. And you can find our exploits in agriculture on pages 41 to 49 of the manifesto. Remember you, your mama, building one expensive factory for which we are yet to produce a teaspoon of sugar. Page 23 to 38 of the manifesto will tell you, your mama, where we are with 1D, 1F. The program set out to revolutionize production for value addition, jobs, and incomes. So, Candidate Mahama, you got your opportunity and you blew it. You have nothing to offer the Ghanaian people. As for your excuse that you have learned your lessons and want an opportunity to correct them, it is important for you to realize that Ghana and Ghanaian lives cannot be used for experimentation. Happily, Candidate Mahama has been advised to tell us his mistakes and how he intends to correct them before making more promises he does not intend to keep. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, today, Ghana is the talk of the international community, thanks to the sterling leadership of President Akufo-Addo, leading to the development of fellow Ghanaians. We are on the move. It will be a tragedy if we should put this country in reverse gear by entrusting it into the hands of a person who is a self-confessed doubter, one who is never able to make his mind about anything, one who was so incompetent and corrupt, he ran a create, loot and share economy. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen of the media, through you, we are humbly asking Ghanaians to choose courageous, committed, competent, and passionate leadership over wishy-washy, flip-flopping, indecisive, and incoherent leadership. Akufo-Addo represents leadership of service that will transform Ghana for all. Vote for him to protect our progress. Thank you for coming.
Director, We'll plead you summarize it in chief for us a bit, if you can. With a great respect, shall we have the Director of Communication summarizing what he gave us in chief, please?
Mona Mupunua, say yeti. Obia need a so anymore. COVID by ye. Obi if she be or she be a share. A becana gin no washe, a quan of a fast water to a bar. Agina dear mo bechreno, any dear mo beca. So, and yes, Remo say, Umina in Cambo. Na ye, she say, Papa, a bed Daniel ma pedi. Na Mobeca wasem. Na sa papa. Ebedani mapedi no ne eche se ye man mu ha amanyo ko mienu e na atena yakonwa so abedu ene eye Fourth Republic here ye wo mu yi MPP NDC na ye koto abai de ye sre ye man Ghana ene wo mom tumu aba wo mo ene om di dwama no ne ene obi o ka ho se ye nsese ne ye hwe de obetimi ahwe man no so yie ye economy ni yie echen NDC and into Sha, your man penny kufo, or buy, and this crowd ye mo, or be so muna a hepic, with me pejati see ye, per fan walk home, na, and near me coso prom. Na, your man penny that da and ne, or so some pretty bre, or be so moon, or be bois, your man penny on baby call, males, or no, Yamincha, the SC, what the kind tea, papa nya home. It's not home few minutes no ne ye a command management team penny or dano na in Fincia obedi president some pensionum emuno or sign the ye call IMF adia for GC hono or sign say no emie kwa yechi na radia dum another danko kufuado in few miensa enefa watimi asa abedane no asisano into the end, the name say, Yent mean fa, ye and to John Mahama so. The bear would ye na what check our buying me or saying, Welcome, they are buying a memu is it government official one, not just the old da no assembia EP nenim government official one, John Mahama. So when you know, when Timmy. Amfa yen ankodru babia eniema sabre no se onyindi yentimi nye obogu ye no ene ye nanado eye ama o se yenja de oye no nanado no yenyini nsi nchen no ono nsa amesom no onye na de a wonyindi ade a oni hu nim de ebere ne ye ma wo no waye nton de na manyo no oye no mframa na ebo no ko ebo no ko ha na aho no ko ha nti neno na nado mframa na ebo na watimi a chense niema bi wo ha ye betimi aye no afi de wonso ahuri a wo tonwum se ene ono so betimi aye nti ye mfama ne nye hwe free SHS adia na ye na chiwade akura wo ye advert bro eduanan se emma so enye yi ene wo se ye nya no mane me free SHS na obe maintain na ade yakajenzi ye maintenance officer ye president ye maintenance officer ye kandinia obetimi di akọ bọhye asase so na enyuma abakuruma na enye ye nwanwa afise onu antwere nwoma kire ye nse onu de osori anopa ya na ne yem hyehye no ontimi emfa no ho adwen ensi ginaye bia enti saa na odetena presidency ho the presidency na ye said what bicycle so a break enka ho nyame ncha de ye kokrumuti ebo break man ene wose ye nsan emfa no embra no metena sa bicycle no so no wonfa ye daachi papa we pa entu chacha pa we na ye say eba ne sa ebe ha o man no nti ye de ya boaye ya ye hyehyeye ye de niema soronko bremo ɛwɔ yɛ manifesto mu ɔno ne manifesto osimu bɛyɛ afini no osimu so ɔkɔtwerɛ manifesto osimu ne yɛ kura yɛ mmɔ yɛn so da yɛ sɛ yɛbɛtwerɛ yɛ deɛ wɔso ɔkɔbusa Ghana afa na nyinaa deɛ ɔmfa nhyɛ manifesto no na ɔkɔbusa Ghana afa na deɛ ɔmfa nhyɛ manifesto no na ne kuo adi mfie aduɔwɔtwe ɛwɔ aban mu Fourth Republic yi wadi mu president ifie nsia wonim deɛ Ghana fo pɛ afei no wɔkɔhwehwɛ ɔmkɔhwehwɛ wie no ɔmde brɛ wa wagye ato hɔ sɛ wobɛda na di ɛna yɛn deɛ yɛtwerɛ manifesto yɛnim deɛ yɛkɔ yɛtwerɛ manifesto ɛna yɛto din sɛ yɛde bɛto abɔnten ɛhɔ a na ɔde mirika bɛka sɛ ɔno nso de ne deɛ bɛto abɔnten afei deɛ manifesto yi pie yi a ɔmo deɛ no People's Manifesto na ayera yɛnti yɛ ne sɛ wɔn mu duapɔ wɔn mu hyɛ kukua mu duapɔ afei na wɔn eduedue yɛn yɛ manifesto no aduapɔ na sɛ yɛn manifesto yi a woduedue mu yi na koma paa yɛ COVID nhyehyɛeɛ ɛne kwan a yɛbɛfa so a yɛbɛsa kyerɛ COVID ne sɛdeɛ ne yɛn ɛdi na sɛ wonim COVID ho nimdeɛ wonim kwan a wɔbɛfa so a ɛbɛyɛ ne watumi atwerɛ manifesto yɛawie nti yɛma ɔndue manifesto no ɛbɛkyɛ papapapapapa ɛna yɛde yɛnyɛ hɔ ne yɛani da sɛ ɔmbɛtumi atwerɛ manifesto so ɔmde bɛda no adi kyina ɛnyɛ hɔ ne yɛani da deɛ yɛani da ne deɛ yɛatwerɛ ama mo no nti yɛakyerɛ mo sɛ nneɛma bi wɔ hɔ a wɔkeka seesei ɛmframa deɛ ɔsɛ ɔbɛyɛ no healthcare ɛyɛ mframa deɛ yɛyɛ yɛakyerɛ mo baabi a monkɔhu no wɔ manifesto no mu deɛ ɔsɛ ɔbɛyɛ no transport sector ɛyɛ mframa deɛ yɛyɛ no transport sector yɛakyerɛ mo deɛ ɛda ɛwɔ nwoma yi mu nti monkɔ kenkan nwoma yi yɛakyerɛ mo kwan deɛ ayɛ no kuyayom deɛ ayɛ no adwuma a yɛfete industrialization John Mahama ɔyɛ factory baako ɔsi ɔbɛfete asikyire sɛ me ne wo kasa yi obiara ni Ghana ha wano mo blayo konko cap baako a sɛ asikyire ni bi ɛwom nso ɔsi yɛn yɛ 1D 1F no a yɛayɛ no a factories no ato apete na ɛɛba bebree no yɛntimi anyɛ pamokyɛw 1D 1F no ɛwɔ ngoma wei mu makyerɛ mu baabi a mobɛhunu na sɛdeɛ yɛaseɛ no ɛɛfɛ kwa wodeɛ wohwɛ sɛdeɛ yɛasi atwitwa no mfoni no a ɛɛfɛ kwa wokɔ ngoma no mu a wobɛhu 1D 1F a yɛayɛ deɛ yɛɛyɛ deɛ yɛawie deɛ yɛadwene ho ne nyinaa ɛwɔ ngoma no ne nyinaa ɛwɔ ngoma no ɛfiri na ɛkorɔ ne sɛ obiara ɛyeraw ɛdaadaawo NDC ni bi daadaawo sɛ 1D 1F anyɛ yie si ayɛ mmienu koraa yɛyɛ baako borɔ ɔmo deɛ so sɛ mmienu pepo ne yɛayɛ a yɛayɛ baako borɔ ɔmo deɛ so ɛfisɛ baako pɛ na ɔmo nom timi yɛyɛ kɔmenda ɛsi hɔ ayɛ green elephant nti mɔdawroma deɛ aduro no ayɛ akandie ho asɛm ne yɛka mommoa na Ghanafoɔ nsɛm ne yɛnhu deɛ obɛtumi de ɔmaa yi akɔ n'anim akandi pa ɛkwan so ɛnoa na yɛsrɛ mo anidie mu sɛ mommoa na Ghanafoɔ nte deɛ ɛkɔ so no ase yɛyɛ to aba no yɛnte aseɛ sɛ ɛnyɛ obi a ɔbɛkasa a ɔnyɛ n'adwene sɛ bɔhyɛ a wɔhyɛ no obɛdi so ɛfisɛ wɔka bi akwa mframa stomach direction ɛne obi a ɔte ho a wɔyɛ adwuma no so wahu sɛ wɔyɛ a ɛsɔ ani a watumi akyerɛ wo sɛ adwuma a mayɛ nti meesan atoa so de wakɔ ne sei saa nsonsoyɛ no ɛna ɛwɔ sɛ motumi ɛboa yɛn ɛma yɛde ba na Ghanafoɔ mokɔto aba 7 December 2020 no wɔmato aba pa anidie mu na yɛtumi atoa Ghana adwuma pa na yɛyɛ no so na nado te ho yɛ yɛhunu deɛ wɔyɛ wo si yɛngye ma wo ɛnyɛ ade a wontimi nyɛ ɛnna sɛ yɛgyina ho deɛ ɔte ho yɛ any the went me anye. I was seeing G in free the oil and ho emman. Na fe no okusia. Eno ene da ye nyina yanim. Ya me hira mo pi sempa ya da mo ase.
Thank you so much, Director. Once again, let's give him a round of applause. Please, 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 let's hear it for him. Thank you so much. I know you are itching to ask questions. Those of you who are willing to ask one or two questions about our manifesto, you're welcome to do so. I believe largely, Director touched on what the content of the manifesto of the New Patriotic Party for 2020 election is. And I believe that you listened earnestly to what he had to say. Greatly so, you have some questions to ask. We shall admit one or two questions before he takes his seat. Please, if you have a question, shall we go? You can move to the microphone if you have a question. The gentleman there. Please, your name and the media house you're coming from. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Latif Idris. I enjoy news. I just want a bit of clarity on the point you made about government now giving the power to purchase vehicles and be distributed to the public sector. The Japa royalties. And the former president brother's business of mining. But just want to find out from you, there was a press conference they also had issues with the current SPV. I just want to read a portion of what they had to say in their statement.
It's okay. Let's go for it. It's okay.
So you're aware of that press conference, I guess?
I appreciate the question.
Okay. So the point they are making is that they describe the deal as a hurriedly carried through deal. And it creates, I just want to be specific, so I just want to read what they said at the press conference. That they made the emphatic statement that the rushed amendment inserted worrying clauses, including clauses that lifted the SPV Ejapa royalties above Ghanaian tax laws and waived Ghana's sovereign immunity, thereby exposing the country to the risk of damaging lawsuits should any future government seek.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
What?
Your question, yes.
Can we?
Let me your question.
Because
So
no,
how,
I think I appreciate his question.
How do you address this challenge the CSOs have identified in this special purpose vehicle as far as the Ejapa royalties deal is concerned?
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And please make sure your question is very short and straight to the point, please. Are we taking another question?
We've asked them to use their media to engage the public. So I think he's trying very hard to engage across.
Thank you.
Shall we look at that? If you go to page 179 of the manifesto, it sets out the transport sector recapitalization project, TSRP. And we are looking for long-term, efficient financing mechanisms for commercial transport owners or operators. And to do that, over the next 4 years, we are implementing, are you listening? Where's the gentleman? We are implementing a government-backed, private sector-led, lease-to-own financing arrangement. It's like work and pay. When somebody brings in a used car from abroad, and you can't afford to pay for it, he says, take it and work and pay. Then he doubles the cost because you are not paying for it. He takes interest up front. Then you work and pay off about 3/4 of that money, and the vehicle breaks down, you lose all your money. Now we are saying that you can, as a commercial operator, trotro, taxi, any kind of car, Uber, you can get a work and pay arrangement pre-financed by government-backed lease arrangement. So you don't have to pay upfront. And your work and pay will be consistent. You will pay back the lease gradually. And you own the vehicle as you go forward. So it's a major, major change in the transportation front. And this is not only going to commercial people. We are saying that a component of it will extend to financial arrangements for teachers, nurses, doctors, and other healthcare professionals to acquire vehicles through government-backed private sector leases. We hope that the TSRP will boost the market for vehicle leasing, locally assembled vehicles, light manufacturing industries, and distribution of automobile parts, as well as a recycled market. Now, Ejapa, what we are asking for, it's not just Ejapa. I'm looking at Sino Hydro as well. First of all, this has been transparently done. It was not hurriedly done. It is being conceived and executed over 2 years. The Minerals Income Investment Fund was set up in 2018. Do you know that? Are you aware of that? So is that a hurry? What was the objects of the Income Investment Fund, which was set up in 2018? To mobilize our mineral income and, if possible, collateralize it and securitize it for major heavy investment funds. This was back in 2018. Then, as you seek to operationalize that, you realize that the Minerals Income Investment Fund as a body may not be able to engage beyond the shores of Ghana. And we are aware of the limits of our Ghanaian market. I've heard arguments about why don't you give the money to SNIT to invest. SNIT has bought everything it's capable of investing in, and those enterprises are not moving forward. So the Ghanaian market, the stock market, the market for arbitrage, the capital market in Ghana is not the most vibrant at the moment. So if we all accept that there's a need to mobilize our income upfront, then how do we get the best benefit out of it? Because Parliament passed the Minerals Income Investment Fund. And Parliament is made up of the MPP and the NDC. And this time they didn't work out. They were there when it was passed. The Hansard shows that their MPs were happy that we were finally bringing some interest into the little drips and drabs of mineral income that were GEF itself may not meet the needs of the rules offshore if we are going to play in a competitive market. And mind you, it is that offshore market we go and borrow. That is where we go for our Eurobond. That is where we go for loans from the IMF and the World Bank. So why can't we be a player there? So to play there, you have to have a subsidiary which will play according to the rules there. And that is why you have Ajapa Royalties Limited. Am I making sense so far? So Ajapa Royalties is conceived and implemented in such a way that it can be a player offshore. That is the bottom line. Now what we are asking you to do, again, beyond the Japa, is Sino Hydro. The NDC went as far as to go to Washington to damage our prospects before the World Bank with a spurious letter against Sino Hydro. And it turns out, before Sino Hydro, that without any transparency, without due process, without parliament, dispassionately looking at the larger strategic picture, we must begin to move forward. We cannot continue to be a small player if we want to be the hub, the go-to hub. We've tried the Gateway project. We are building ports. We are building airports. We are within West Africa, a potential market of 300 million, hopefully by now rising to the 400 millions. We are within the larger continental market now. We are headquartered here. The African, what? You remember it? Tell me what the name is.
You're talking about a free trade.
Yeah, tell me the full name.
Continental Free Trade. The Secretariat is here.
Why are there? The African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The headquarters is here. And if we can't trade beyond Ghana, how are we going to gain any benefit from that headquarters? We must go out there and leverage what we have. Over 100 years. Look at timber. We've simply exported all the timber. There's none left. What is the benefit? We can't even keep any more forest. What did we gain? And over 100 years, the gold has been going, and we can't point to any tangible thing that we have used the money for. This time, if you want to ask us what you are going to do with the money, ask. If you are going to ask us, how will you sustain value? Ask. Ask the right questions, but don't impugn motives that appear to negate the transparency with which this whole process has been clothed from the beginning. It is not hurriedly put together. The amendments were necessary to make the Minerals Investment Fund Act responsive to the need to set up an SPV capable of operating in an international market. That the amendments were not passed before Parliament rose and approved the agreements is that the agreements were approved subject the deal, the Japan royalties deal. It's not law and it's not a valid deal. I am hoping the president will assent to it. I'm not going to get into a debate about it. I have given you an answer. Give somebody else an opportunity to ask a question and then we'll wrap up. No.
Please.
You can engage. We can engage elsewhere. I will not turn this into a one-on-one with you.
Yes.
I can come to your studio later.
Any other question? Yes, the gentleman there.
Thank you very much. My name is Joseph Nyanka. I work with Happy FM. On the issue of Okada, legalization of Okada, the former president has said that when it comes to power, he will legalize Okada, which will come with training. And member of parliament in your party, chairman for the Parliamentary Rules and Transport Committee, Samuel, he is saying that, look, Okada has employed about a couple of youth in his constituency. So for him, they should legalize Okada. This morning,
Where did he say it?
He said it on Star FM.
When?
He said it on Star FM.
I haven't seen that, but that is not the position of the government at the moment.
Let me quote him. He was saying that personally, at my constituency, the fact that many young are involved in Okada business, if you ask me, I would say we should legalize Okada, but we should legalize it in a way that will not bring disaster. This morning, the president for the Okada Association was saying that the Okada business has employed... Yeah, we do have. Yes, but they form as this. Good, you can see that. So the business has employed over 800,000 Ghanaians, and we've seen big men patronizing Okada. Is the MPP going to give it a second look by legalizing it, or they are still against it?
The MPP's transport policy is in its manifesto. I will urge you to read it. We have a solid transport policy in the manifesto. And I'm glad you said that the chairman said personally. He used the word personally. It is not government policy. It's personal to him. It is not government policy. Moreover, where are we getting the figures of 800,000 from? You have taken it as gospel fact? Have you checked? You have a data bank of Okada with 800,000. You seen it? You asked for it? That is why I'm saying that you are gatekeepers and you must sift the grain from the chaff. 800,000. Did you see the data? How many drivers are in the current informal sector? GPRTU, Progressive, and all those people. How many of them? How many of them? And you are telling me that 800,000 motorbikes are circulating in this country. So please, you are the media. Check before you jump. But the bottom line is that the MPP has a comprehensive transportation policy. We are going to implement programs that are integrated from automobile manufacture, creating jobs and incomes right there, through to bank financed access to commercial vehicles, creating jobs and incomes right there, to private sector opportunities to acquire vehicles in safety and comfort, to pay very little for that. And all of that is designed to expand transportation, expand incomes and opportunities, improve the quality of public transport and access to public transport, as well as safety. We have our policy here. Please read it.
The last question for us. Please, if there's... Is there a question? You want to have your follow-up question? Director?
I'm not going to debate.
Very well.
I have laid out the principle. The
Yes.
principle for us is very clear.
So, without...
The principle for us is very clear. We are inviting thought leaders, we are inviting civil society influencers to engage on the large strategic issues. Objectively, we are inviting them to look at the sequence of events about any process that we undertake, including the fact that in Japan matter, 2 years have taken place. 2 years have gone by while that process was taking place. And that anything to make it more efficient is welcome. We are prepared to engage, but let us subsume the assumption of, there's a certain assumption of mischief or shadiness that cannot transcend the transparency that Parliament brings to this process. Everything is going through Parliament, and it will be implemented in the public space. Engage, and I believe that government will give you the answers. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. Please, let's give him a round of applause once again. Thank you so much. In the absence of any further questions, I think that we'll bring this press briefing to a close. We thank you for coming. Once again, we're going to continue doing this, and we've always encouraged that it should be politics based on issues, like the MPP has always done. Thank you so much, and may God bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.